there was one fight that could break all pay-per-view records and bring the MMA and wrestling worlds together for the first time ever, it had to be the Daniel Cormier versus Brock Lesnar super fight. Daniel Cormier had just knocked out the greatest heavyweight of all time, while Lesnar, the WWE megastar, was finding a way to outshine UFC once again. For some reason, the fight fell through. What if it had actually happened? Like, what would it have looked like? And more importantly, who would have won it? To understand all that, let's go back in time and see how it all started. From 2013 to 2018, Daniel Cormier had already done enough to prove his legacy. He was the former Strikeforce Grand Prix champion, a dominant UFC light heavyweight title holder, and the only man during Jon Jones's prime to give him real problems. But deep down, Daniel Cormier didn't want to settle for just one belt. So when the UFC gave him a shot at the heavyweight belt, he got a chance to make history by becoming a two-division champion. Daniel Cormier didn't hesitate. He bulked up and faced off the baddest man in the division, Stipe Miocic. Surprisingly, he knocked Miocic out in the 4th round. That win made him the second fighter in UFC history to hold 2 belts at the same time. Meanwhile, Brock Lesnar was in a very different place. He was out of the UFC since 2016 when he beat Mark Hunt at UFC 200. Only to have the win overturned after a failed drug test. After that, he took a break from UFC and went back to the WWE, where he was still the company's biggest star. He was the main WrestleMania star, holding their world title hostage like a part-time boss. But even with all the years away from the cage, Lesnar's name still carried weight. He wasn't just a former UFC heavyweight champion, he was the man every MMA fighter wanted to face off with, and so does Daniel Cormier. That same night when Daniel Cormier became heavyweight champion, before the celebration even cooled off, Cormier grabbed the mic and did something no one expected. He called out Brock Lesnar.
He's an All-American. He's a former UFC champion. I never thought I would fight him, but Brock Lesnar.
Within a moment, Lesnar stormed the cage like he was walking into WrestleMania. He pushed Cormier, cursed out the entire division, and turned a championship moment into one of the wildest UFC promos ever caught on camera. Seeing the hype, Dana White didn't try to play it down. In the press conference, he flat out said both guys won it, and even called Lesnar the UFC's biggest cash cow. Now sure, Brock was 40, he hadn't fought in years, and he still had to deal with drug allegations, but none of that mattered because this was a money fight. On the right, we had Daniel Cormier, the double champ, one of the smartest fighters in the game. And on the left side, we had Brock, a one-man marketing machine with freak genetics and a legit UFC title on his resume. So how would the fight look inside the octagon? To understand that, we need to look past the rookie stuff and analyze the stats. Physically, this didn't look like a fair fight. Brock Lesnar, standing tall at 6 feet 3 inches and weighing 265 pounds with an 81-inch reach. He looked like that boss-level video game character and hit like one too. Brock had freak strength. He once benched over 650 pounds, and his ground and pound was simply overwhelming. He once threw 45 strikes in just over a minute at UFC 100. Daniel Cormier, on the other hand, isn't a heavyweight monster. Standing at 5'11" with a 72.5-inch reach, he's shorter and looks more like a coach than a killer, but that's his real superpower. Daniel Cormier is built like a tank, and he knows how to use every bit of his frame. He's an Olympic wrestler who outplayed heavyweights like Josh Barnett and KO'd Stipe Miocic with a clean right hand. While Lesnar had the edge in size and explosive power, Cormier's strength was more technical. He could wear guys down, drag them into deep water, and still throw heavy hands late in the fight. Lesnar had that first round fury. Daniel Cormier had a granite chin and the fight IQ to survive it. And in a battle of power versus precision, that difference matters, because not all fights are won on muscles alone. Sometimes the mind outsmarts the body. Daniel Cormier built his career on skill and strategy, whether it was adjusting mid-fight like when he outstruck Jon Jones in round 1 at UFC 214. When he submitted Derek Lewis in a title defense at UFC 230, Daniel Cormier always fought like a precise chess player. Lesnar, on the other hand, is an angry beast. He became UFC heavyweight champion in just his 4th professional fight and unified the title a year later. He pushed through serious health issues, including a brutal case of diverticulitis diverticulitis and still managed to dominate guys like Randy Couture. But when the fight didn't go his way, he stumbled so badly. In his fight against Mark Hunt, he started wincing at simple punches, and then he struggled to stand against Overeem's cardio. However, Daniel Cormier had been through it all. Whether it was 5-round wars, taking damage on his chin, or ultimate title defenses, he rarely lost his composure. Then there was Lesnar, a 6'3" beast that brought chaos only. Brock brought chaos, Cormier brought control, and in MMA, control usually wins. When it comes to fight record, this matchup isn't even close, because Daniel Cormier had it better in all aspects. With an overall record of 22 wins, 3 losses, and 1 no contest, Daniel Cormier finished 15 of those fights either by knockout or submission. He has beaten big names like Stipe Miocic, Anthony Johnson, and Dan Henderson. However, Brock Lesnar's record tells a different story, with 5 wins, 3 losses, and 1 no contest. Lesnar became the UFC heavyweight champ in record time, which is quite impressive. He smashed Frank Mir, Randy Couture, and Shane Carwin in a comeback win. But outside of that short title run, things fell apart fast. He got TKO'd several times and even failed some drug tests. If you line up their records side by side, one had a short burst of dominance, the other had built a legacy, so how would their fight look inside the octagon? Lesnar comes out like he always does, fast, wild, and super explosive. He shoots early and tries to end it in under a minute, just like he did to Frank Mir. If he gets that first takedown, Daniel Cormier would be in a bad spot. But is it even a Daniel Cormier fight if he doesn't fight back? Although Daniel Cormier isn't built like most fighters, but he's defended takedowns from some of the most dangerous wrestlers on earth. He stayed calm under fire and found ways to win in the chaos. So what happens when Brock's early flurry doesn't work? He'd start to slow down. The muscles that gave him power start to eat up oxygen. The hands drop. The shots come slower. And that's when Daniel Cormier moves in. He'd control the clinch, land clean elbows, and break Lesnar down punch by punch. By round 2, or maybe 3, Lesnar's done, and the referee would have to wave it off. In my opinion, Daniel Cormier would win the fight because he's smarter than Lesnar and doesn't shy away from taking damage. In 2022, Daniel made a special appearance in WWE as a referee, which sparked whispers among fans about whether there was a chance for him and Brock to finally settle their score in the ring, since the UFC never gave them that opportunity. There's still a possibility of a Daniel Cormier versus Brock matchup in WWE, and no matter how the card looks, Daniel Cormier would outsmart Brock. He's the kind of guy who has the guts to put down beasts. Even if the rules are different and the setting is scripted, Daniel Cormier would still find a way to take control.